we are now going to look at dividing decimals. Okay, so first we're going to review the 4 ways that you might actually see a division problem. This is 6th grade now, so most of yours will be in the form of word problems eventually. But basic division will look like one of 4 ways. So we will have 48 and 500 divided by 2 and 5/10. That is way 1. A second way to see this, which is still going to be like the fraction, is the way that we have to type it into our escape rooms. So that would be 48 and 500 divided by 2 and 5/10. We may also see it written as long division style, so where we would have the denominator outside the house and the numerator goes in. And then last but not least, the 4th way that you may see it will be with the good old-fashioned division sign. So we would have 48 and 500. See that little fly? Yikes. Divided by 2 and 5/10. So these are the ways that we will see it, and we also need to review the vocabulary that goes with this because our steps for dividing decimals use the academic vocabulary for dividing, such as dividend, divisor, and quotient. So let's review that. So that would be that we would have the dividend on top. We're going to divide it by the divisor, and it's going to equal the quotient. Fractions as our division is going to be really big in 6th grade, so we've got to get familiar with the fraction being a division problem and being able to put the denominator outside the house. So that would be our divisor would go outside the house. Our dividend is the numerator, and then our quotient will be up here. Okay, so this is all just basic division review. So now we're going to take this problem and we are going to actually solve it by following the steps. So step 1 is to make the divisor a whole number. So we're going to make the divisor a whole number. We're going to do that by shifting the decimal to the right. All right, so let's look at that. We're going to take this problem here. It is going to be turned into this problem here. So we would have 2 and 5/10. We're going to divide it by 48 and 500. I'm sorry, we're going to divide 48 and 500 by 2 and 5/10. Okay, so first we need to make the divisor a whole number by shifting the decimal to the right until it's a whole number. So by moving my decimal over once, I have now turned 2 and 5/10 into 25. Okay, step 2 is going to be to shift that decimal in the dividend the same amount of places we just moved it in step 1. So we're going to shift the decimal in the dividend the same number All right, so now we got to go shift that decimal in our dividend. So we had 2 and 5/10, 48 and 5/100. So we have already shifted the decimal once in the divisor, so now we're going to shift it once in the dividend. So now we have new decimals here and a new decimal here. Step 3, easy peasy, we're just going to move that decimal up. So now we're going to move the decimal up into the quotient. So now that will look like 25. This would look like 480 and 5/10, and we bring the decimal up. Last but not least, our final step is to divide like normal. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and solve using step 3's problem. Okay, so normally what you would want to do when you have big numbers like this as divisors is, I'm pretty sure you guys were taught to make T-charts. I'm not 100% sure how T-charts work, but I can figure this out, and hopefully it looks somewhat similar. So it'd be like 1 would be 25, 2, 50, 3, 75, 4, 100, 5, 125, and so on. So with that being said, how many times does 25 go into 4? Well, that would be 0. And then how many times does 25 go into 48? According to this, 2 would be 50, and 50 is too many, so it's going to be once, which is 25. And then we're going to subtract. So 8 minus 5 is 3. 4 minus 2 is 2. And then we're going to bring down our 0. Okay, so now I have 230, and I did not go far enough in my T-chart. I ran out of space, but I know that it's going to be 225, which would be 9 times. We're going to subtract. Can't take away 5 from 0, so we borrow, making that a 2, and this becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 2 minus 2 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. We'll bring down our last number. So the zeros don't matter. We're going to do 25 into 55, which is twice. 2 times 25 is 50. And when we subtract, we're left with 5. So now we're out of numbers to bring. So we're going to try one more time to add a 0 and bring it down so that we can have no remainder in our division problem. So 25, bring down the 0, sorry. 25 goes into 50, also twice, which is 50. And then look at that. We end with a 0, so our final answer would be 19 and 22 hundredths, boxed nice and neat.